Hello and welcome to On Tap Sports, the channel where we cover all the sports all the time. And before you click off, if you're an Ohio State fan, hold your horses, calm down. I know I'm a Michigan fan, but I'm fair-minded. When you guys lose, which isn't very often, I crack on you a little bit. When you win, which is a lot, I give credit where credit is due. You deserve it. You're a very, very good football team, unlike my football team at the moment. So let's get into it. Ohio State at Minnesota, Thursday, September 2nd at 8 p.m. at night on Fox. 66 is the over-under. 13.5 is the spread in favor of Ohio State. Now, this isn't a betting channel, but we do go ahead and go over that for entertainment purposes. I will give that at the end, what I think's going to happen there. But let's just preview this thing first and start with the Ohio State offense. And the most intriguing thing, the thing that everybody wants to start with, is the quarterback position. Now, no matter which way they go, they're going to be starting a quote-unquote freshman at quarterback. A lot of people seem to think that it's going to be CJ Stroud. I am one of those people. He should be the person they'll go with. I'll go over him in just a little bit. But they also have Jack Miller III, as well as Kyle McCord, who is a 3-time state champion out of the state of Pennsylvania and a 5-star recruit. So they have a lot of options, young options, but a lot of options to say the least. A lot of talent back there. Should CJ Stroud struggle out the gates, but I don't think he will. I think he'll be fine, and I'm sure so do you. Also, they're going to be replacing Fields, obviously Justin Fields. His 2020 stats, he had an over 70% completion percentage rate and 9.3 yards per clip. He was pretty good. I don't think either one of these guys has the capability early on to see those kind of numbers, but they could later on in their career. We'll see what happens. But yes, big shoes to fill if you are one of these players. The O-line, left and right tackles are very, very good. Two of the best in the absolute nation. So if CJ Stroud is back there, rolling back, he should have no worries most of the time on the edges. His guys got him. Good pass blockers. They're good to go there. They do lose center Josh Myers as well as guard Wyatt Davis, who is an All-American. Those are going to be big shoes to fill as well, but they're very talented. It's plug and play at Ohio State at this point. Let's just be honest. It's plug and play like it is at Clemson and Alabama, so they're good to go. Master Teague is the running back. I don't know how you guys feel about Master Teague, and he's shown glimpses of hope, and he's good. Don't get me wrong, he's good. But when you're talking Ohio State running back, he's meh to me. He's very meh. What I would be excited about if I was an Ohio State fan is the #1 running back in the country coming in, number 11 overall recruit out of the state of Virginia, and that is TreVeyon Henderson. He is very, very good. 3,200 all-purpose yards, 53 touchdowns in high school. Goodness, this guy's shifty, but he just gets right to it after he makes it, and when he doesn't need to be shifty, when he doesn't need to be elusive, he hits the hole and he turns on the burner. He is gone when he sees free space. I'd be very excited about TreVeyon Henderson if I'm an Ohio State fan, which I'm not, obviously. But I think he's better than Master Teague even early on. Even early on. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. We would love to hear from the Buckeye fans on that. CJ Stroud, let's get into him. Great throwing motion. He steps in the pocket when it's necessary, steps up in the pocket when necessary, and he hits receivers in stride. He's very good at that. Again, the great throwing motion, it's natural. It's pro level from the beginning as a freshman coming in and as a redshirt freshman. And so he should have no problems. He should have no problems. It is a tough game against Minnesota right out the gates, but we'll go over Minnesota's defense in just a second. Might not be as tough as some may think. Receivers, you guys are covered, man. Best in the nation, in my opinion. I don't always say that about Ohio State. They're obviously among the best, but sometimes Clemson's there. Sometimes Alabama's in that one slot. This season, I'm going with Ohio State as the #1 receiving corps in all the nation. Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Julian Fleming, Jaxon Smith-Njigba. I think I pronounced that correctly. Let me know if I didn't. He had that catch against Nebraska last season, first game of the season, where Gus Johnson was calling the play, and the referee called it incomplete as well, and he caught it in the back of the end zone. Somehow got a foot down. He's pretty amazing. Marvin Harrison Jr., man, they have some absolute studs. As I'm reading those names, all I see is a bunch of guys who are going to tear my Michigan Wolverines apart, but we'll worry about that in the last game of the season, unless it gets canceled again. Blah. Minnesota's defense, they lost 7 starters prior to 2020, and it showed. First 2 games against Michigan and Maryland, they gave up 94 points, 1,156 yards in losses in both of those affairs, and that's against a Michigan and Maryland offense that isn't that great. So we'll see what happens against Ohio State in week 1 of the season. They're improved, but the back end of the defense still showed its ugly face plenty towards the end. They brought in a linebacker transfer from Abilene Christian. Don't know how much that's going to do. And Braylon Oliver, he returns from a knee injury. I just don't think that's enough. I don't think that's going to be enough at that position. Linebacker and back for Minnesota, they are a hurting unit. They'll lose a cornerback in Benjamin St-Juste, who is a one-time Michigan transfer, so I know him very well. He was very good. And in comes Miles Fleming. Coney Durr returns on the other side for cornerback. D-line's looking good. D-line's looking good for Minnesota. It's the same story as last season, where the D-line was okay, but the whole back end and the secondary, they're in trouble, and you don't want to be in trouble in those positions against Ohio State. Again, best receiving corps in the nation, and they can absolutely let it fly. Freshman quarterback or not, they'll be just fine. It will Ohio State, not Minnesota. Minnesota did bring in Niles Pinckney from Clemson. He played over 1,000 snaps at defensive tackle for the Clemson Tigers last season, so anytime you get that many snaps for Clemson, that's pretty good, but too little too late, not enough in my opinion. Minnesota's offense, they fell dramatically last season. You didn't expect them to have as good of a season in 2020 as they did in 2019 anyways, but this is a big gap here. 34.6 points per game in 2019 and 2020. That moved down to 27.3 points per game. Total offense went from 432 to 391. Tanner Morgan, absolutely excellent in 2019. 3,000 yards, 30 touchdowns on the season. But 2020, his quarterback rating, his completion percentage, his yards per attempt, all that stuff dropped. And so too did the Minnesota offense along with it. They're going to be without Rashad Bateman. He's now with the Baltimore Ravens. He opted out midway through the season last season. So they'll have to look for Chris Ottman-Bell to take the place as the new number 1. Daniel Jaxon right there with him at that 2 slot. And Texas A&M transfer Dylan Wright could do some help. With no Bateman, the strength is very much with the experienced offensive line. They run a zone run scheme, and they have a running back in Muhammad Ibrahim, who was the Big Ten running back of the year. So he is pretty good. Very small running back, very tiny running back in terms of stature, but so shifty, so elusive, really, really good downfield vision. 1,076 yards in a shortened season last season, 15 touchdowns on just 201 carries. He is a stud. So that's the way to get it done if you're Minnesota, is up front, right? Well, yeah, in most games, but you're going against the Ohio State defense, and the Ohio State defense, well, that's their strength, is stopping the run and stopping everybody up front. 97.6 yards per game on the ground last season allowed, and just 3.4 yards per an attempt. So they are very, very stout up front, big men, big hosses, and a lot of athleticism to go with that. We'll go over those guys in just a second. They lose a ton of experience in the linebacking corps. Baron Browning, Tuff Borland, Pete Werner, all gone. But again, plug and play at Ohio State. Kayvon Pope and Taraja Mitchell, they may struggle early, obviously, as linebackers coming in, new to the game at the collegiate level, but they'll get it together, and I don't think Minnesota is going to pose enough of a threat for it to be a huge issue in week 1. Secondary was exposed last season at moments. Good at times, but exposed last season at moments. As you guys know, Sevyn Banks in the national championship game against Alabama, that was the primary example of what I'm talking about. a very, very talented bunch. They're always going to have a talented bunch at Ohio State. 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits all across the board at all positions, at all corps. But that secondary group is going to have to get it together when you're talking prime time competition, particularly if they were to make it to the playoffs again. We'll see if they can do that. Cameron Brown returns at cornerback, opposite end. He tore his Achilles last season, but he is back. Again, the main strength for Ohio State on defense, up front, baby. Haskell, Garrett, Tyreek Smith, Zach Harrison, Jack Sawyer, all high-ceiling guys. A lot of big disruptors there, and they should do well against the run once again. So the question mark in this game and moving forward, well, again, not so much this game because the passing game for Minnesota without Rashad Bateman and, as a whole, they're going to be in trouble. That's not their strength, Minnesota's, in terms of passing the ball. But moving forward, the strength for Ohio State's always going to be up front, and they're just going to have to get it together slowly but surely from the linebacking corps and from the secondary. And I'm sure they will. Maybe not enough to win a national championship. We'll see. I'll get my prediction later on in the year on that. But definitely good enough to compete and probably win the Big Ten as they usually do. All right, so let's finish this thing out. 66 is the over-under. 13.5 in favor of Ohio State is the spread. I'll go ahead. Again, this is not a betting channel. This is an entertainment channel only, but I know you guys are going to ask for my opinion on that, so I'll go ahead and give it. I'm going to take easily Ohio State to cover that 13.5 point spread. I think that thing could move to 14, 15, 16, closer to the day of the game. So if you are a betting person, don't take my advice, but do take my advice. 13.5 should be covered easily by Ohio State. I personally, if I was betting on it, I would stay away from the 66 over-under. Too many question marks in my opinion. CJ Stroud, how he'll perform. We saw some life after Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota, but we don't know too much what it's going to look like. And Minnesota's defense, are they improved? Are they not? They can't be much worse than what they were last season. So too many question marks for me to take that over under. I'm going to stick with the 13.5 Ohio State to cover in week 1. Final score prediction, I'm going to go 38 for Ohio State, 24 for Minnesota. That was Ohio State and Minnesota preview and predictions for week 1 of the college football season. If you want more of this kind of content, we cover all of college football, all of sports, all the time here on Tap Sports. Please do consider subscribing, ring that bell so you don't miss any of the action. We'll have reaction videos after Ohio State games, reaction videos to the Michigan games, reaction videos to the games of the week immediately after the games or as quickly as I can possibly get them up. College football 24/7. We'll see you guys later. God bless. Take care. Have a great day.